Hello, and welcome to the next episode of my podcast called Friends in 3D. My name is Katya, and it is my great joy and my great honor to welcome today's guest. Her name is Klara, and she's my friend from Instagram community. Klara is a wonderful stereophotographer, and also she does fantastic conversions using the from 2D photos to 3D photos, and I hope that we can discuss all these things with her. But hello, Klara, and thank you so much for joining me today.
Hello, Katya. Thank you for this opportunity. It's a huge honor for me to be on here.
So before we dive into stereoscopy, I just wanted to ask you maybe a couple of words about yourself, whatever you're comfortable sharing here with us.
Yeah, of course. I'm more than happy to. So I'm Klara, like Katya said, and I'm from Australia, so all the way from down under. And I began my stereoscopy journey near the end of last year, but I probably started taking stereos and making an Instagram account at the beginning of this year. So I think it's been around not even 8 months yet. That's how long my stereo journey has been. And and I became a Queen fan just a few months before, actually. So I became a Queen fan in around October to November. What else can I say about myself? Yeah, I'm a huge fan of Mediterranean food. I don't know if that's a particularly fun fact or anything. I love Animal Crossing, the game. I love the dog breed Shiba Inus, and this is very specific, but I really like rose gold jewelry. So I don't know, it's just a bunch of really random facts about me.
Yes, that's wonderful, and I can see that you love Doctor Who because I'm also
Yes, I love Doctor Who as
I
well.
also I'm also a Doctor Who fan. So
Oh, excellent. Yay, yes. It's an excellent show. I recommend anyone and everyone to watch it.
yes, and for me it's kind of related to some songs that Dr. May wrote. So I don't know how is it for you, but for me, he's sometimes I can imagine him being the doctor because I think he's such a doctor figure.
Oh my goodness. You know what's really funny? Okay, so I think it was during Dr. May's Instagram live during his Another World launch, and when he was during one of the sessions where he was scrolling through the chat and he wanted to see questions, I actually asked, I think it was something like, do you like Doctor Who or something? And he actually answered it, which is remarkable. He said,
Yeah.
"Oh, he was like, yeah," and then he said something along the lines of, "Someone said that I should be the doctor," and then inside I was screaming because I have always imagined him to be a really perfect doctor. I feel like his persona matches really well with the fictional doctor persona. Like, I'm sure you probably understand me, Katya.
Perfectly, yeah,
Yeah,
perfectly. It makes
yeah,
perfect sense, and he even has a song about the time travel. So yeah, it's
yes,
absolutely
exactly.
it's
It's
perfect
perfect.
match. Before we start talking about stereoscopy, I wanted to ask you about photography in general. So did you have any specific interest in this, or was stereoscopy just the first time that you started like really seriously taking pictures?
Okay, so I'm not gonna lie, I was never a professional mono photographer or anything like that. I do have friends who have, really fancy cameras and they actually go out and take photos, but I just took photos of, the dishes that I have when I go out to eat with my friends and selfies like a lot of people do, or, when I go out and travel to a different country or travel to a different city, I take photos of pretty sceneries. That's usually what I do. I don't really take into account, like the angle and lighting and anything. But I do enjoy taking photos, but for my own viewing pleasure, I'd say.
So how did you learn about stereoscopy? Because you're new to this community, so
Yeah.
I'm really curious. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm definitely, I think, yeah, one of the very new people here. Yeah, I'd say I'm probably like, I don't know, 90% of the community, and that is I discovered it via the Queen in 3D book. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like if you're a Queen fan, you pretty much have to read this book. It's just one of those books that it's such a unique autobiography. And I love that. I don't think I've ever seen, I actually don't think there exists another autobiography of a rock band that has stereo photos. And I love how unique it is. And I love how personal it is because obviously Brian himself wrote it. So he would know pretty much everything because he's part of the band. And yeah, so I remembered, I think it was near the end of last year, it was around December, and I was going to graduate soon. And I thought, you know what, I'm going to get myself a graduation present. And I bought myself, a Queen in 3D book. Like, I already figured out how to view stereos, but I only knew how to view cross-eyed stereos. But that was from the stereos that I saw on the Instagram community. But I wanted to see what it would be like viewing it using an owl, because I heard about the owl and I know how wonderful it is. And I thought, okay, considering that I'm a fan now, I thought I should buy this book. And yeah, it was amazing. I showed it to my mom and she was like, oh my gosh, you need to show me more. It was just absolutely incredible. And then I figured out, I think it was, I don't know, like 1 to 2 months into my journey, that I actually already had a taste of 3D imagery when I was a kid. My mom has these stacks of magic eye diagrams. I can't remember how old I was. I think I was around 10 or something. And then she was, I think, cleaning out her garage one day and she said, oh, come here, Klara, I want to show you, these really cool 3D diagrams. And I had no idea what they were. All I saw was a bunch of, like static looking fuzzy patterns on it. And she's like, you have to view them using a certain way. And she was telling me that I had to cross my eyes. And I was like, okay, I'm going to try and cross my eyes. Now, and any normal person, when they cross their eyes, they will cross it very hard. So you can't view the 3D image that pops out immediately. And it took me quite a while to get the hang of it. I think I just remember sitting on the sofa, just trying to kind of get the hang of the images. And finally something came out. I think now I realize that I accidentally viewed parallel magic eye diagrams using cross-eyed method. Because what happened was the pictures, I can discern the pictures, but they weren't sticking out. They were sticking inwards, like how if we view, for example, parallel stereos with cross-eyed method or vice versa, it would be like a kind of like a...
Yeah, inverted. It
would be reversed, yeah. But I don't even know whether that was exactly the technique that my mom was telling me to do, but I was just trying to shift my eyeballs just to see something. But now I realize that it's exactly the same technique that you use for stereos. And it's amazing because I just realized, you know what? I've actually had a taste of this, and I found it very exciting that there was now a very, I suppose, valid reason for me to go back into the 3D world, because I'm a fan of Queen as well now. So yeah, that was a pretty cool discovery, I suppose, on my end.
Yeah, it was the same for me. I mean, I also discovered 3D. I also had the childhood experience of viewing 3D through it was kind of like Viewmaster, but it was different because I grew up in Soviet Union. So it was a set of slides. I loved them because it was like, looking into a different world and just seeing this magic world. For me, when I looked through the owl at the stereo in the book for the first time, it was like going back into my childhood, and again seeing this magic world in front of me. So it's really blew my mind. So I think it's such a great and such an important book.
Oh, it's amazing. It should win some kind of award. Like, I don't know if there are awards for autobiographies, but it needs to like get some kind of accolade at some point. It's absolutely just, even for someone who's never experienced 3D, just showing them the magic is, I feel, the most important thing. They don't have to know a thing about Queen. I have friends, my real life friends, who don't know anything about stereoscopy, but I brought my owl once when I met up with them, and then I showed them the stereos that I took, and they were like, you're kidding me, right? Like, everyone was just amazed. And I love that. I love seeing that.
Yes, absolutely. I also love this. So when you discovered 3D through this book, did it occur to you that you can take 3D as well, or did it take some time? Because for me, I first thought it's some kind of a superpower and that I need some specific cameras for this. So, but how about you?
I don't know. I feel like the first few months of being a Queen fan was a blur, because I feel like when you start being a fan, you kind of do a lot of exploration. You go on, TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, you go on Google, Pinterest, you look at photos of them, you look at their Instagram posts. So I just recall that Bry would sometimes in his posts and YouTube videos to say that, you can use an app called i3D Steroid or 3D Steroid on your phone. And that was really fascinating to me. I was like, hold on, there's an app that can do that for me. So I started my journey just by using the app. During summer, I would go out for daily evening walks with my mum, and the sun wouldn't have set yet. It was still quite bright, and I would take this opportunity to go out and take stereos of flowers or of nature in general. And yeah, I just remembered being addicted. Every time I went out for a walk, my mum is like, "Oh my goodness, are you done yet?" Because I wanted to align my stereos properly, etc., etc. But the way it was really like, I don't know how to say it, but it was quite emotional for me after I took the stereos. And when I previewed them, I was like, oh my God, did I just take that? It was magical. And then I think from then onwards, it has just been a rabbit hole that I've been in since January.
Yes.
It was unbelievable. But as time went on, obviously I started learning from the community. I started doing more research, and I found out that there were a few ways. And obviously from the Queen in 3D book, Bri would list down various ways. You can have a stereo camera, you can have a twin rig, and obviously you can take the stereos without using the app, but you can just take it manually yourself and then adjust it on SPM or on the app or something like that. But yeah, I think it was just a learning journey for me. But I started off by using the app, and I started off by taking close-up stereos because that's where the baseline isn't very long. It was something easy to start with, and then I kind of just advanced to giving, I suppose, more far away stereos a go.
Yeah. No, your stereos are amazing, just for, especially for the person who just started it, because mine, when I look at my stereos from 2018, that's when I started, they were completely flat. So you are really great. So like really talented in this.
Oh, thank you. But now when I look at my old stereos, like I suppose from the beginning, I kind of stare at it and I'm like, oh, this is not good. Like I see the 3D, but I suppose it's a good sign that I'm improving.
Yes.
But when I go back and I see, and I'm like, oh, why did I post this, etc.
Yes, but I think it's the journey that we all that we all follow, and I think it's just the way we develop and learn from each other and from our own experience, because I think you gradually just realize that some things don't look great in 3D and some actually do, and like for me it's a learning curve, so I'm still learning and I'm still trying to get better. So how about conversions? So how did you come up with this?
Okay, so I'm not going to lie that I obviously am not the first person to do conversions. I've been seeing them in the Instagram community for a while, and I have been fascinated by them for quite a bit. So I started my conversion journey, I suppose, I think it was around February or March. But during the first few weeks actually of taking stereos, I've been seeing that, hold on, there is a method to convert 2D photos to 3D, and I never got the chance to actually ask about it until I think it was in around February, where I actually messaged a few people on Instagram and I asked, I want to learn how to do this. Do you mind taking me step by step on how to convert 2D photos? And, I installed the right software on my computer, etc., etc., and I gave it a go. My very first time, obviously not the best conversion, but it was very fun experimenting with it, and it was very, very fascinating. Definitely different to your usual sequential stereos or the stereos, any stereos that you take with your stereo camera or anything. It was definitely a different approach. The original photo is 2D. So if you think about it, you're like, how on earth can I transform this into a 3D photo, right? Like it sounds impossible. But then I see these stereo conversions of the people, of some of the stereo folks in the Instagram community, and I'm blown away. And I'm like, you know what, I want to learn how to do this. And I did it. And I think, yeah, I have to say my life has never been the same since then. Yeah, it was amazing. And, the fact that I can use websites and apps and things and I can adjust them. And it's very, how do I say, it's very therapeutical in a way.
Yeah, it's like a meditation. Yes. Like
Yeah.
Just have to correct all these little things.
Yeah. It definitely tests my patience sometimes, because some of them are, I need to do a lot of adjustments, or I completely have to do them from scratch, because you got to make sure the 3D is correct. You got to make sure it's accurate, right? But at the same time, yeah, it's therapeutical. It's really, I suppose, how do I say this? Every time you correct it, like the depth map that you use to generate it, and every time I, cross my eyes or divulge my eyes to check whether it's, it's accurate enough, there's this feeling of satisfaction that whenever, the more I check it, the better it gets. So I think that's kind of what draws me back to this process. Whenever I'm bored, I'm like, you know what, I'm going to convert this photo, etc., etc.
Yes. It's amazing, and also especially some of them. I would never say that these are the conversions. I would think that this is the original stereo photo. So which is really amazing. I was wondering, when you pick a 2D photo right now, with the experience that you have, you already know which one would look good in 3D and which one won't look good, or is it like like you find it out in the process of converting them?
It really depends on the photo. I think the easiest ones to convert are, for example, from some of the recent QAL photos, just Dr. Brian May on stage, just like a very simple shot of him on stage with his guitar. I think these are, because there's a very clear foreground, middle ground, and background, if that makes sense.
Yes.
But if you try converting, for example, I don't know, a portrait of someone, it's hard because you've got to get the facial features correct. And the thing with facial features is that depending on the person, you don't want to, for example, stick their nose out too much, or
Yes.
stick their cheekbones out too much, because when you see the final converted piece, it's going to look a bit weird. So I personally, I don't convert faces a lot, I have to admit, because these are still quite difficult for me. And I'm going to admit that, I'm still learning. One day I may get the hang of it, but I'm still learning. And so for me, definitely more far away shots are probably easier to convert. But yeah, just playing around with various apps. I suppose asking a few Instagram folks for advice helps heaps. Everyone in the community is so helpful, and I love that. I love how lovely they are too, especially the newbies like me. And yeah, I really enjoy being in this community for sure.
Yes, I agree. I actually, I can't convert, but with stereos, I think that for me, when I just started, I didn't know anyone. I like, for me, it was a little bit different, other way around than for you, because I read Queen in 3D book, then I followed Dr. Brian May on Instagram, and then I started actually meeting people. So it's really great, and I'm really happy to hear, like from your perspective, that the community is still so nice to newcomers. I think it's so important, just to preserve this spirit of welcoming. Yes.
Yeah, I just feel it's just like a warm hug, if that makes sense. It's sweet finding various stereo pals in this community and just giving each other support, giving each other advice. And I think that's what matters the most, really. And I'm really appreciative for all the friendships that I've made in this community.
Yes, absolutely. That's great. I also ask this question, all of my guests, because yes. I think that taking stereos, or in your case also taking stereos, making conversions, for some, drawing, I think it's somehow it conveys your creativity, and it conveys your attitude to music that you love. So I was wondering how related two of these things are, like for you being a fan and you being a stereo enthusiast and a stereo converter. So do you think for you these are two separate things, or do you think they kind of affect each other?
Okay, well, firstly, I think the most obvious overlap is Dr. Brian May.
Yes.
Yes. If it wasn't for him, I would not be having this hobby right now. Definitely, that's absolutely something 100% I can agree on. That if it wasn't for Bri, I would not be taking stereos and making conversions and etc. So for me, yeah, I do a lot of conversions. Well, not a lot. Well, yeah, a lot of Bri himself, and sometimes of the whole band. So for me, yeah, it's related in a way that a lot of my stereo conversion subjects are Queen related. And I've sometimes done stereo conversions of some of my artist friends in this community. So I'm not sure if you remember from my Instagram feed.
I remember, yes.
Yeah, I have a lot of lovely and incredibly talented artist friends in this community. Honestly, the Bri art talent just blows me away every day. I can't draw for the life of me. So seeing these drawings, just wow. it's just, it's magnificent. And yeah, I've converted a few of their pics, and some of their drawings kind of are channeled from Queen's music as well. Yeah, I feel like for me, my creativity is also quite often channeled through my emotions too. So deciding on what to convert, deciding on what stereos to take, it's a lot of the time it depends on my mood. And I would have to say that Queen's music for me, they're so diverse. Like I don't even think I can, I mean, they're called a classic rock band, but they've done, I think, every genre there is.
Yes, I agree.
And it's incredible, and for me, there's definitely an overlap. There's definitely deeper overlap. For example, when I make conversions, I listen to Queen music. And when I listen to Queen music, I sometimes get inspiration, like, oh, I remember there's this photo shoot that so-and-so photographer take. I may want to try converting this particular photo shoot. If that makes sense.
Yes, absolutely. That's what I meant when I asked you. So that's really wonderful to know. Well, since we are talking about Queen and Dr. Brian May, how did you become a Queen fan? What what was the entry point for you?
Yeah, that's an absolutely excellent question, because I'm quite sure my case is different to the majority of the community. I do know that most people grew up with Queen's music. Now, I didn't. What happened for me was around last year. I don't know why. I think I started seeing videos online or something, but I really started becoming fascinated by 70s and 80s music. I just started listening to them, for example, bands like ABBA. I really like ABBA too, by the way.
I love ABBA, yeah.
I love ABBA. The music is so lovely. It's so kind of like easy listening, and they always have a song for every single mood. So I love listening to ABBA as well. What else? Europop. The old, like, how do I say it? Which countries can I list? I listened to a few German Europop bands. Now, you probably know this band. It's called Modern Talking.
Oh, yes, I know.
Yes.
You are the first person who knows Modern Talking from all of my guests. Yes, it's really funny, because I grew up, like, I was a kid of the 80s, so like everyone listened to Modern Talking.
Yes, Modern Talking was one of the bands. I still listen to Modern Talking. Their music is really, how do I say, easy listening. It's kind of like, it's just nice to listen to. It's pleasant Europop. A few other bands. Who else? Alphaville.
Oh, yes. I heard about it, but I don't know it very well.
Yeah, one or two songs. There's you probably know this song very well. 99 red balloons, 99 looped balloons.
Yes. Okay, yes.
Yeah, like, for example, the new wave songs. There we go, new wave. That was the word I was thinking of. New wave, Europop, disco, funk. So I was kind of exploring basically music from these eras. And I think my story is quite funny, and that is my honors thesis supervisor, because I was writing my honors thesis last year. He was a child of the 70s and 80s, and I would discuss with him about music back then. And he's a rock fan, so he would try to push me down the rock alley, like, Klara, listen to more rock music. And I didn't listen to much rock. I was a big fat Europop fan. I just liked pop. It was just pop for me. I was like, rock, really? And then he started sending me Jimi Hendrix videos, Stevie Ray Vaughan videos, and who else? He sent me a Van Halen video as well. The song Jump by Van Halen, very famous song. And it was funny because I actually started getting into Van Halen first. So it was Van Halen, and then I saw this photo of Eddie and Bry. And I already knew who Bry was, because I think, a lot of people, they know who Queen is, but it's just, if you're not a fan, you don't know in detail about the band. But I remember I was like, I know this guy. And I know that I have a few friends who follow him on Instagram. And then I kind of I think it was, one of those days where you do those curious Google browsers. I started Googling Brian, and I looked at, his wiki page and etc. And I found out that he was an astrophysicist. And the fact that he's an astrophysicist blew me away, because I come from a maths background, and I did a little bit of physics in first year of university. I don't know how to say this, but seeing a celebrity who has a passion for the sciences really drew me in a sense. Yeah. He has a PhD in astrophysics. It just blew me away for days. honestly days. And then I'll tell you this really, really funny story. Then I was scrolling through TikTok, right? And I saw this absolutely gorgeous edit of Bri. So I don't know if you've seen these video edits of, you know, bands and stuff, but there was this edit of Bri, and it showed him being his current self, and then it transitioned to his younger self. And then I saw it and I'm like, hold on, you're telling me I've been living on this planet for 21 years and I didn't know that Queen's guitarist is this gorgeous. You know, it kind of just it blew me away. I was like, hold on, this man is so beautiful. Like, I know it sounds very cheesy right now. It's my apologies.
No, it's
but
fine. It's fine. I understand.
I kept on rewatching it and I'm like, hold up, he is incredible. Like, he's so beautiful. And then I looked at his wiki page more and I'm like, you know, he's campaigned for animal rights. He does this thing called stereoscopy. And by the way, I didn't know what stereoscopy was back then. He's collaborated with astronomers. He's written books. And I'm like, this guy is amazing. He's like a Renaissance man in the 21st century. And then I started listening to Queen's discography, Queen's music. And I got Spotify. I'm one of the new Spotify users. I know a lot of my friends have been using Spotify forever, but I got it when I started getting to Queen because I'm like, I want to properly listen to every single song they've ever written from beginning to end, because I want to get my head into it. I just want to listen to what songs they write. And obviously, you know, really well-known hits like Bohemian Rhapsody and We Will Rock You. I know these songs, but every other song kind of flew past my head. I didn't really know them. And I listened to them and I was shocked because their songs matched exactly to my music taste.
Yes.
And it was the first time I've ever felt anything like that with any band I've ever listened to. And I was like, you know what? This is it for me.
Yeah, that's destiny.
Yeah, it was just, I think, and until now, and probably for a very, very long time, I've just been head over heels with that band. Their music, their fashion, their style, everything. They're amazing. It's incredible. Just, I love them.
Oh, it's a beautiful story. I think it's really, you know, shows you how you become a fan, because it's, of course, it's, you know, it's like falling in love. It's like everything suddenly clicks. Yes. And like, you know,
Yes.
that this is your kind of music and your kind of people. And it was the same for me, even though I knew them when I was a kid, when I was a teenager. And then I loved Queen all of my life, but I really, really fell in love with them about 5 years ago. And it was, it was also like my eyes opened suddenly. And I saw like, wow, this is what I love most of all. Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. Exactly. Like, because at karaoke sessions and stuff, my friends would always sing Bohemian Rhapsody. And back then I was like, what is the hype with this song? Why does everyone sing it all the time, you know? And now I get it.
Yes.
It's a genius piece of work. I get every single, you know what? Every single hyped up moment of Queen in history, I understand now. It's like my life has done a 180.
It's a great story, and I really hope that you see them live, you know, with Adam one day. Yes.
Hopefully, fingers crossed. Honestly.
But it's interesting that, you know, you came to Queen through Brian, because usually it's again the other way. Usually people first fall in love with Queen and then they find out about Brian and like become their fans. But for you, it was like other way around. So
yeah.
So when you think about stereoscopy and you think about your own skills, so do you have any dreams, any ambitions? What would you like to become, or would you just like to keep it as a hobby, which is also like, I think for me it's like that's what it is. But how about you?
Yeah. Look. See, this is actually a very interesting question, because a part of me wants to just keep it as a hobby, since I do have, you know, other passions and I do have a full-time job. So even if hypothetically stereoscopy becomes a job or something, that means I have to give up everything else. And, you know, one never knows what will happen in the future. Like, you know, but at the moment, that's not what I'm currently keen on. However, I know that LSC does monthly galleries. And my dream, this is going to sound a bit ambitious, but my dream is to make it into one of the galleries one day and perhaps collaborate with very well-known stereoscopists, or perhaps get an article published or something like that, just perhaps make a bit of a mark, I suppose, in the world of stereoscopy. So sure, I want to keep it going as a hobby, but I love it too much for it to be just a hobby and have, no achievements, no significant achievements that I get to reach within the next few years, if that makes sense.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, I'm a very ambitious person. I feel like, whenever I like something, I kind of want a goal associated with it. And stereoscopy is not an exception. I definitely want to be good enough one day, not now because it hasn't been a year yet, but one day, to have my stereos shown, like I said, on the LSE gallery. And it will be really nice, to have basically a piece of my work kind of just immortalized in a way on the website. That would be really cool.
Yeah, I think it's a great goal, and I think it's I think you definitely have a chance. I think, again, just seeing your work, I'm sure that one day they will invite you. So really, wish you to have it and to achieve this goal and to achieve this.
Oh, thank you very much. And your stereos are amazing, Katya.
Oh, thank you so much.
Oh my goodness, they are so good. I like every time you post them, I'm like, oh my gosh, like why is he so good? Sometimes I just stare at them and I'm like absolutely mesmerized.
Oh,
like
thank
this
you
is
so
amazing.
much. It's so kind of you. Yeah, I just love it. Yeah, it's just, again, something coming from the heart.
Yes, indeed. Yeah.
Yeah. So I feel that we already talked a little bit about this, but again, this is something that I ask everyone at the end of our episode. What does it mean for you to be a fan? Yes, what does it mean for you to be a rock fan?
Oh, that's a good question. For me, one very important thing is the friends that I make. Being in a fandom has, I suppose, in a way, changed my perspective on a lot of things, because I've never been in a fandom before in my life, remarkably. And, meeting all these lovely people from the other side of the world virtually, it's incredible talking to all these like-minded people. Yeah, it's really sweet getting to discover other people's talents, for example, bright art and stereoscopy as well. So definitely a huge aspect of being a fan is the friends that I make in the Queen fandom. Also, I guess I feel like Queen has saved my life in so many ways, like in almost kind of like a metaphorical sense. Like there are times when I just feel like everything's hopeless, everything's worthless. The Queen always brings me back to the light. What an excellent pun. Back to the light. That was unintentional, by the way. But being a fan, I feel like it also helps me seize the good in life. I know that Bry himself, he's struggled a lot, and I really admire him. I really admire him as a person. And with a lot of things I do in life, I see Bry as this beacon of hope in a way. If he can overcome this, why can't I? For example, if he can do all these brilliant hobbies, why can't I pursue what I like, if that makes sense?
Yes.
So for me, it's seeing the good in life, pursuing what I want to pursue. It's been an amazing time being a fan. Like, I feel like my life was just so different when I wasn't a fan of a band. And I love being a fan. I love hearing about stories about Queen. Obviously, Queen in 3D helped a lot because there were a lot of tales in there, lots of amazing stories told from Bry's perspective. But, seeing posts online, seeing the things that people put on fan pages and stuff, I love that. I love seeing the appreciation that so many people show. It makes me feel included in a sense, if that makes sense, because there's so many like-minded people, right?
Yeah, it's like having friends around the world, and I think it's so wonderful. It's the same for me, because I think I never had this experience of meeting so many people from all around the world, and most of which I haven't even met yet. We just know each other through Instagram, but still, like I consider them my friends because we chat and, you know, like we appreciate each other's photos and stereos. And I think it's wonderful. And I totally understand. I think Queen's music is so optimistic, you know, in many ways. Like there are, of course, some sad songs as well, but I think it's like it has such a powerful, very uplifting mood. And I think
Yeah.
I also had like lots of moments in my life when they really helped me, especially in the last
Yeah.
again 5 years. Yeah.
Absolutely. And
Yes.
especially like last year, because I was writing my honors thesis and I had a lot
Hmm.
of assessments, and university was just stressing me out a lot.
Yes. Yes.
And I feel like I'm so glad I discovered Queen, because
Hmm.
their music kind of just, this is going to sound so cliche, but I don't know how else to word this, but they touched the deepest part within me. Every single song, there's some kind of meaning that I can find that will somehow relate to me, if that makes sense. Even if it's, you know, something that hasn't happened to me. For example, a really what song can I think of? Okay, you know what? I'm going to say this, but one of my favorite Queen songs ever is Scandal. Amazing song.
Yes.
But the context behind it obviously is not the happiest. When I hear about it, I'm like, you know what? Yeah, the media is really cruel. Like, do you know what I'm saying? Like,
Hmm.
it's like
Hmm.
the way Bry channels these emotions through
Hmm.
the songs
Hmm.
he writes, and obviously the way the other Queen members channel their emotions. It's
Hmm.
just so, how do I say this? It's so kind of poignant in a way. It just makes me kind of think, for example, with 39, which is also one of my favorite songs. I've heard about the whole kind of time dilation thing, but I don't think I've ever listened to a song that describes a pretty sad tale about
Hmm.
what happens if two people experience time dilation, etc. And obviously, for me, as a person from a scientific background, a maths background, etc., that was very fascinating to me. So once again, like I'm just giving another example that for some reason, pretty much all the songs I listen to, it just kind of touches me. Whether it's sad, happy, angry, even, it's incredible the songs that the diversity that encompasses all of these songs. It makes sense now thinking about it why Queen is so well revered and well known, because their songs are actually really good. Like, I mean, well, really good is honestly an understatement, but like,
Yes, absolutely,
yeah,
and I agree, and I feel very similar to, you know, about their songs and about the messages and about the emotions that they create when we
absolutely.
listen to it. Well, so it's been a real pleasure talking to you. Thank you so much for sharing all of your stories with us. So if you're listening to this podcast on Spotify, please make sure and check Clara's page on Instagram. I'm gonna post it in the description below. But yeah, I just wanna wish you all the best, and you know, again, the fulfillment of all your dreams. And I'll see you around on Instagram. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Kasia. It has been an absolute pleasure talking to you. It was really lovely just, you know, telling my story to someone who has a genuine interest in, I suppose, my journey into stereoscopy, because, you know, it's an absolute honor, like I said, so considering how new I am. So once again, thank you so much for this opportunity.